Fuchs. And good morning, friends. Welcome to The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben, and thanks for joining us. 844-236-6010 is our number on The Bright Side. If you have questions about health, nutrition, prescription drugs, if you want to wean yourself off your meds, get on a good nutritional supplement program, we love hearing from you, especially if you have a success story you'd like to share, or if you just want to comment on a conversation. 844-236-6010 is our number. We've got a guest coming up at the bottom of the hour. Mary Beth Battaglia is a certified clinical hypnosis and sound practitioner. She's a public speaker and the author of a book called Transformation Through Hypnosis. Relax, clear your mind, and step into your power. I've been studying hypnosis myself for many years, self-hypnosis, and probably one of the most powerful health and wellness and lifestyle strategies you could ever use. Controlling the mind, learning how to access the various brainwave states. Most of us respond to our environment automatically. We respond to our environment reflexively. By understanding hypnosis and by understanding how the mind works, you can gain control over how your brain responds to the world, and learning how to leverage various brainwave states, particularly alpha brainwave states and theta brainwave states, is, in my opinion, or at least one of the most powerful health strategies you could ever use. We're going to talk to Mary Beth Battaglia about what hypnosis is and how you can use hypnosis specifically to quit smoking. That's one of her specialties, but you can also use some of these strategies to quit caffeine, to quit workaholism, to quit any addiction or any addictive habit, because indeed addictive habits come from the subconscious. Addictive habits are subconsciously learned coping mechanisms, and the reason why addiction strategies typically don't work and why recidivism is so high, why people always go back, or I should say tend to go back to their habits, is because subconscious coping mechanisms have not been learned, or other subconscious coping mechanisms have not been learned, or subconscious coping mechanisms have not been dismantled. By understanding how to work with the subconscious, this is what hypnosis is about. It's about bypassing the critical thinker, the inner critic. Bypassing the inner critic and getting directly to the subconscious. Or under ordinary circumstances, our subconscious is guarded by an internal critic who says, no, that can't be true. No, that's not right. By learning to bypass that inner critic, we can get right into the subconscious, and that's exactly what hypnosis is all about. Learning how to turn down the conscious mind so you can get into the subconscious mind to lose weight, to heal, to clear blockages, to quit smoking and other addictions. We'll talk to Mary Beth Battaglia at the bottom of the hour. We'll get your calls in our next segment. If you want to purchase longevity products, head to brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com. or criticalhealthnews.com. You can purchase products, longevity products, right off the website. You can also call 866-735-2470 for more information. And don't forget to ask about joining the Brightside Ben team. For a one-time $30 fee, you can be in business for yourself. And now is the best time ever, probably, in the history of this country, in the history of the world, to start a home-based business with what we're going through. The Great Reset, it's called. If anybody thinks this is really about a virus and it's not about an economic reset, just Google the Great Reset and the World Economic Forum and watch a YouTube where they talk about exactly what's going to be happening here. This is the Great Economic Reset, and the way that we earned a living in the past is not really going to be all that relevant in the future. The world is changing from an economic and from a financial perspective, and that means a home-based business is something you really want to at least take a look at. At least take a look at the opportunity, the business opportunity that's offered by Longevity for a one-time $30 fee. You can start a business, you can be in business for yourself, and you can help spread the word about how important and how powerful a nutritional supplement program can be. And not only is this a perfect time to start a home-based business, this is a perfect time to start a nutritional supplement program. When was the last time you heard one of the talking head doctors or government doctors or ER doctors who are on the news every day telling us how bad everything is, and the nurses who are crying every day telling us how bad everything is? When was the last time you heard any of them talking about vitamin D or vitamin C or essential fatty acids, which are key components of the immune system? When was the last time you heard anybody talking about vitamin E or vitamins or bioflavonoids or polyelectrolytes or any nutritional supplement for that matter? This is something we have to take control of on our own, because nobody's going to be teaching us this, except for us here on the Bright Side. And Longevity. I should say, very few people are going to be teaching us this. There are some people waking up to the idea that there are wonderful lifestyle strategies that you can use to protect yourself from infections of all kinds. I was reading I was on the internet looking at the death statistics, and something very interesting about the death statistics from this current quote unquote pandemic that we're dealing with. The deaths are most of the deaths are associated with the infection, the current infection, are in industrialized countries. This is very interesting to me. Why is it that the vast majority of deaths, if you go look up deaths, COVID, country by country, what you'll find is that the vast majority of deaths are occurring in the United States, England, or the UK, I should say, in Spain, in industrialized countries, Russia, France, Germany. The industrialized countries are really the countries that are having the biggest problems. But if you go into the smaller countries, if you go into all the countries in Africa and Ghana and Morocco and Bahrain and the smaller countries, they don't have as many deaths. Why is it that Ethiopia only has 5 deaths? You'd think that some of these countries like Ethiopia and Somalia and that are really, and Cuba and Haiti, that are falling apart and that are really with a deteriorating infrastructure, you think those are the countries where people will be more prone towards getting a viral infection? That's not the case. Most of the viral infections are occurring in the industrialized countries. Now, what is that telling us? There's definitely a message there. It seems to have something to do with industry. It seems to have something to do with development. The so-called developed countries are the ones that are having the vast majority of deaths. The entire country of Somalia only had 6 deaths per million. 6 deaths per million attributed to the coronavirus. That's Somalia. Madagascar, 6 deaths per million. Sudan, 18 deaths per million. So the take-home message here is something going on that has something more to do, something that has something to do with more than just a virus. If Somalia has 6 deaths per million and the United States has 533 deaths per million, nearly 100 times more deaths, something's up. What's going on here? Brazil, 523 deaths per million. Seems to have something to do with pollution and something to do with industry. What that says is there's options that we have to protect ourselves that have nothing to do with a virus. You don't need to necessarily depend on masking and lockdowns. We could be using nutritional supplements and lifestyle strategies, detoxification, staying away from poison food. All right, 844-236-6010 is our number. We'll get your calls. Our next segment, Mary Beth Battaglia, certified clinical hypnosis and sound practitioner. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we'll take a commercial break and be back right after this. Okay, we're back on the bright side. I'm pharmacist Ben. Mary Beth Battaglia coming up at the bottom of the hour. We're going to talk about hypnosis and quitting smoking and quitting caffeine and losing weight and healing blockages, etc. Mary Beth is the author of Transformation Through Hypnosis, Relax, Clear Your Mind, and Step into Your Power, which is also available as an Audible book. We'll talk to Mary Beth at the bottom of the hour, and we'll get your calls. This segment, 844-236-6010. If you're on hold, hang tight. We'll get to you momentarily. So I was going through these country-by-country deaths. USA, of course, is leading the world in deaths. Brazil is second. Mexico's third. India is fourth. The UK is fifth. Italy is sixth. France, seventh. Spain, eighth. And then Peru and Iran represent or round out the top 10. And then if you go to the bottom of the list, you're talking here countries like Fiji and Brunei and Monaco and Taiwan. That's kind of interesting. Bermuda, Rwanda, Sri Lanka, Jamaica, Uganda. They're all at the bottom of the list. What's going on here? Why is it that the industrialized countries seem to be the ones who are dealing with the most mortality? I wonder if it has something to do with comorbidity. I wonder if it has something to do with pollution and toxicity. I wonder if it has something to do with a fast-paced, stressed-out lifestyle. If anybody just tells you wear a mask and stay in the house and that's what you need to do to protect yourself and doesn't tell you about supplementing and deep breathing and exercising and meditating and all of these other lifestyle strategies, well, you know what? I got a problem with that. All right, 844-236-6010 is our number. Let's see if I read this here. You know what? I think we'll just go to the phones. 844-236-6010. Let's say good morning to Danny in Florida. What's up, Danny? How you doing, buddy?
Thank you for taking my call. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
I've been going to the hospital for emergencies for years for a real bad pain in my chest, and many doctors never knew what it was. Finally, last year, I went to the hospital, and I got a doctor, and he gave me a diagnosis. You know what he called it? Costochondritis.
Say it again. Say it one more time. Speaking to the phone, I didn't quite hear that.
Costochondritis.
So it's in your intercostal muscles, your costal muscles?
Yes. I have inflammation there. I don't know why I'm getting it and what to do about it.
All right, well, that's good. That's a great question. So costochondritis has to do with the rib cage. It's an inflammation in the rib cage. It's where there's cartilage that attaches to your between your ribs and your breastbone. There's some cartilage that attaches to that. It's not unusual to have inflammation in areas that move around a lot, and that area moves around a lot. It's basically not a You don't want to worry about the costochondrite part. You want to worry about the itis part. That is, you want to worry about the inflammation, not about the inflammation itself, not where the inflammation is appearing. Does that make sense? You're inflamed, period. Don't worry about where it's inflamed. Are you with me so far, Daniel?
Yes.
Okay, so it's the inflammation that's the problem. You could have had it in your plantar fascia, in your the bottom of your foot, the fascia, the plantar fascia, and they would call it plantar fasciitis. You could have had it in your knuckle, and they would have called it arthritis. You happen to have it in the rib cages, they call it costochondritis. It's the itis part that counts. So what you got to do when you have, and by the way, you're not alone. Almost everybody, as we get older, is going to be inflaming. You're noticing it more because every time you breathe, you feel it, right? You with me?
Yes.
Okay, so you're just noticing it more. If it happened in another part of your body, you might not notice it as much. You might not even you might notice it, but you might not have to deal with it. You got to deal with it because you're breathing. So what you want to do is you want to figure out why you're inflaming. And always the first place to look is the digestive system. Why? Because inflammation and inflammatory factors start off in the bloodstream. Unless there's mechanical trauma, inflammation starts off in the bloodstream. Now, if you have mechanical trauma, if you fall or something, that's different. But I don't think you had mechanical trauma. I take it you didn't have any injuries, right?
No.
Okay, so you're dealing with a blood condition. So what you got to do is you got to figure out what's getting into the blood that's causing this inflammation. Now, a second cause of inflammation could be deterioration of the tissue. Again, this is kind of normal, especially if you're just, you're not supplementing, you're living standard American lifestyle. So in addition to taking care of your digestive system, doing food diary, eliminating problem foods, looking for problem foods first and then eliminating them, using probiotics. The Ultimate Nightly Essence is a great digestive support supplement. The Ultimate Enzymes will do double duty for you. They'll help you digest your food, and they have anti-inflammatory and pain-relieving effects. You may want to get some Ultimate Enzymes, take them with food and on an empty stomach, both ways. Little apple cider vinegar with your meals. Do the whole digestive system work, the food workout, the digestive system work up, I should say. Then there's building cartilage. Now, it's related to food. They overlap a little bit, but just frankly, straight out building cartilage involves using things like gelatin, which I absolutely love. One of the most underrated of all nutritional supplements is gelatin. Also, things like high hyaluronic acid from Longevity, the glucogel caps, which have gelatin in them, as well as glucosamine, making sure you're getting enough vitamin C, making sure you're using anti-inflammatory supplements, the key of which is your omega fatty acids, especially omega-3s. You need them all, though. So get on the Ultimate EFAs. Vitamin E has wonderful anti-inflammatory effects. I hope you're writing this down, or you can just go back to the archives, I suppose, and look, read up on it. Bone broth protein, don't forget that. That's also really good for building cartilage. And then also high hyaluronic acid supplements. We hear a lot about high hyaluronic acid for the skin, for those of us who are in the skin business or who are fans of skincare. But taking high hyaluronic acid internally is a great way to help build connective tissue and cartilage. And bonus for all of these strategies, by the way, Danny, you'll have less wrinkles too if you start doing all this stuff. I don't know if you have any wrinkles, but it's great for the same strategies for building cartilage and connective tissue in the knees and the joints and in the rib cage, wherever. will also keep you from getting wrinkles. And it will also help strengthen your intestine. All right, does that help you? Are you doing longevity at all, or are you doing longevity products?
I did the powder drinks. Yeah, I had a couple of little powder drinks that I've been using.
How old are you, Danny?
74.
It's part and parcel. You sound good, though. Are you working out?
Yeah, I walk 40 minutes a day, and once in a while I work out with weights. Good
for you. Yeah, be careful with the weights, of course, if you have an inflammation in the cartilage there, or in the rib cage there. But that's really something that's easy to deal with. But on the other hand, by the way, it's easy to deal with. But on the other hand, Danny, it's a red flag that you really want to address. Not so much because of the rib cage, but because it's a sign that the body's starting to break down. And you may notice it in the rib cage, but it's likely that it's breaking down in other parts. Other parts of your body are breaking down as well, and that can, that can cause further misery down the road. All right? Does that help?
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy. I'm going to let you go. Thanks for your call. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's one of the key things. When we have remember, where you see the problem is not where the problem begins. And if you just try to treat the problem at the level of where you see the problem, you're going to, number one, not really be successful. Even if you're symptomatically successful, you're not going to be successful causally. But even worse, you'll be missing an opportunity to save yourself from health misery down the road. You'll be missing an opportunity to save yourself from an accelerated demise. You'll be missing an opportunity to prevent or to avoid having to interact with the medical model, which should always, always, always be our goal, avoiding interacting with the medical model. All right, I am Pharmacist Ben. Mary Beth Battaglia, author of Hypnosis, Relax, Clear Your Mind, and Step Into Your Power, is coming up next on The Bright Side. Don't go away.
Would you?
All right, we're back on The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben, and thanks for being here. We're on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific, 10 to 11 Central, and 24/7 on the archive page at benfuchsarchives.com. Thank you to Peter in the UK for setting that up. Got 9+ years of daily Bright Side episodes, lots of good health information. Also, lots of good health information on our websites, brightsideben.com, my blog, pharmacistben.com, and criticalhealthnews.com. We've got videos and news stories, blog posts, all kinds of good and always free health information off our websites, and the longevity products as well. If you want to join the Bright Side Ben team, you can click on the Join the Team link, or you can call 866-735-2470. And don't forget to take a look at our Truth Skin Health products. Never any preservatives, fragrances, fillers, waxes, emulsifiers, nothing your skin doesn't need or doesn't want in any of our Truth Skin Health products. 100% active and functional ingredients, born in the pharmacy with ingredients that are found in your skin. Truth Skin Health products at truthtreatments.com. You can also check out our 600+ 5-star reviews at truthreview.com, truthreviewed.com. Okay, I'm looking forward to speaking to our guest. Mary Beth Battaglia is a certified clinical hypnosis and sound practitioner and the author of Transformation Through Hypnosis. Relax, clear your mind, and step into your power. I've been studying hypnosis personally myself from a self-hypnosis perspective for many, many years, and I can think of no more powerful health strategy, lifestyle strategy, longevity-inducing strategy, quality of life strategy than just good old hypnosis. And we're all in hypnotic trances much of the time anyway, right, Mary Beth?
That is right, Ben. That is so true.
Thank you so much for joining us on The Bright Side. So I've been totally fascinated with hypnosis since I was a kid, really. Stage hypnosis and then self-hypnosis. Tell us, as a professional, what exactly hypnosis is and why we want to know about it.
Hypnosis is truly just a relaxed state, a meditative state. We all experience it, like if you're driving somewhere and you kind of zone out and you get somewhere and you don't remember it. A daydream state, which is most of us go into every day, is really what hypnosis is like. It's you're letting go of thoughts and you're going into the subconscious. That's how simple and easy it is.
Now, under ordinary circumstances, the subconscious is subconscious. We don't know about it. So how can you, if you don't know, you don't know what you don't know, right? So how can you use hypnosis to get into something that's affecting your life, but you don't know what it is?
And then that's a great question. So a lot of it's patterning. We don't, a lot of things happened when we were younger, and it created patterns, and that's what's kind of running the show in the subconscious. So in the conscious state,
is that the same thing as a habit?
A
say
Habit could be
patterning?
there too. Yeah, habit. Habit, I think, is a more you're aware of it a little more though. A habit, you kind of aware if you're smoking or something. But that patterning, and again, the habit could go into the patterning as well. So when you go into hypnosis and you're able to bypass the conscious and go into the subconscious and bypass all the chatter and the thoughts, the analytical part of the mind, that's when you go into subconscious. That's where you can actually delve and find out why these patterns or whatever it is happening. And that's how you become aware. A lot of people, could be a simple thing that someone said to you that creates you feeling not successful or something like that.
Now, when you say going into the subconscious, do you actually see that you could find what caused, or even if it's necessary, to find what's causing this patterning, or is it just enough to go in and change it?
It's basically both. So I do hypnotherapy work, so that's the deeper work. That's when you're really going and try to understand what's going on. So there's the beginning of hypnosis. Whenever I work with someone, we do like the positive affirmation. So we start planning the positive thoughts, and that is very effective. But sometimes if it's something deep rooted, then you want to go deeper, and that's when the hypnotherapy, you're actually finding out why that happened. You're actually bringing it out of the person, and it's almost like you get a new perspective yourself when you're in hypnosis for seeing it in the subconscious and seeing how it happened. And there's like new lenses sometimes to look at when you do this type of work.
So not all hypnosis is hypnotherapy.
That's
a
correct.
deeper. So so there's a hypnosis where you can just superficially be hypnotized to do something or not do something, and then there's hypnotherapy where you clear out past blockages and stuff.
Right. That's the deeper work, right? And so, some people, the hypnosis is all they need, that general work, but a lot of people, especially when it's pattern, and we all have patterning based on how we're brought up and everything, and some of it is more challenging for some people. Some of it's just in the background, but even just something as simple as relationships. You may have that same pattern. You may just be not getting the right relationship, and maybe it's because of the patterning and things that you learned growing up, and then you can kind of see and kind of work on those issues.
Do you think lives have certain themes? Is that what you're kind of saying when you say patterning?
Well, I don't know if I would use the word themes. I would just kind of it's like a loop that we get stuck in, and we can't sometimes get out of that reaction state, right? So I keep having the scenario, and then I keep reacting the same way. In hypnosis, it helps you change that reaction. So, because at the end of the day, we have that control. We don't think we do, but we really do. We think it's out of our control. But anything how we react, we can change, and we can control in a different way to reaction. And that's the beauty of the work.
Okay, so aside from reactions, how about people who they'll have the same kind of relationship over and over again, the same man or the same type of guy or the same type of girl, or they'll have the same kind of job problems over and over again.
Right.
They have the same problem with their bosses or the same kind of problems with their friend. You know what I'm saying? They keep having the same kind of issues appear over and over and over in their lives. I assume that's a result of subconscious programming, correct?
Yes, but what you want to remember, especially with hypnosis, if you don't want to change, that you might not change. But if you're open to it, saying, I need to make a change, I don't want to keep this happening, the openness is what opens the door. So if someone's not as flexible, they may just get minor adjustments. But when you have the mindset of desire, then it really opens up a lot of doors, and that's when the real transformational change can happen with that openness. Now, it doesn't mean that you will go into hypnosis and think, I'm not really sure. That's okay. But as long as you have a little bit of the openness to do the work, that's the true transformation work that comes out of the work.
I once ran into this stage hypnotist who called a bunch of people up on the stage, and then he'd pick a few people out of that whole bunch of people, and they would stand on stage, and they would be the ones to bark like a dog or quack like a duck or, the weird things stage hypnotists do. And I asked him what he was doing, and he said to me he could tell when somebody was more willing, like you say, willing to change, was more open-minded and open to change. Is that the kind of same thing you're talking about?
That's part of it, but they can see that. But I think when you're dealing with deeper work in stage hypnosis. I'm glad you bring that up because unfortunately that's all people see. So they see people doing those antics, and that is hypnosis. Those people are in hypnosis, but they are okay to do it. No one can make you in hypnosis do something you didn't want to do. So if you didn't want to bark like a dog, you would have just sat there quietly. Those people are okay to do it.
He wouldn't have picked you. The guy wouldn't have picked, the hypnotist wouldn't have picked you.
I mean, stage hypnosis is a whole different training than, mine is all therapeutic work, but the suggestion is there, right? So, I mean, that's all part of hypnosis, suggestion. So that's what they're doing with the barking like a dog. But if you didn't want to do it, you wouldn't do it. But that's where they're okay to do it.
And this whole notion of bypassing the critical entity or the critical being is what you're talking about. If the critical thing there is too critical, that's not a person who's going to be open to hypnosis.
They may be less. They may be less open to it, right?
All right, when we come back from break, I want to talk about negative hypnosis, and I also want to talk about what we can do in this crazy, crazy time that we're living in to use hypnosis and accessing the alpha and the theta states. We got Mary Beth Battaglia on the bright side. We'll be back right after this. Don't go away. Hey, we're back on the bright side. I am Pharmacist Ben. We're talking to Mary Beth Battaglia. Her book is Transformation Through Hypnosis. Relax, clear your mind, and step into your power. Love the last part the best, step into your power. We have this hidden power within us, and hypnosis is just part of one way that we can access that, correct?
That is correct.
That's so cool. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing, because we can all use a little bit more power now.
Yeah.
Tell me about negative hypnosis, this idea that you don't see what's there rather than seeing what's not there.
So a lot of times when you go into the subconscious, you really see the whole picture of what's going on in your life and in your reactions. I think it's hard to see some of it, when we're in our conscious state. And when I work with people, we work about taking those negativities that's in there and converting them, reversing them to positive, because it's really important. That's how you gain your power, by creating the powerful positive thoughts.
Are you familiar with the whole idea of brainwave states? Alpha and theta?
Yes, right.
So hypnosis is the alpha state, maybe the theta state, correct?
Yes, I'd say the alpha, the going into the delta wave state, yes.
Delta. Are there ways to access that yourself, like quickly? There must be, because when we're driving, we access it, and when we're watching a TV or movie, we access it. Is there a way to access it willingly and quickly?
Yeah, I think through self-hypnosis, you can do that in about 2 or 3 minutes. I mean, for me, because I go into these states, when I'm with clients and on my own, I do that. It doesn't takes me really like a minute to get into those states now, because I'm so practiced.
I was thinking 2 or 3 seconds.
Yeah, well, it could be, but it just happens quickly. That's why the more people work with me and I give them recordings, the more they work with those recordings too, you can just go right into it.
Yeah,
it's really all about clearing the mind. The chatter is what prevents us going into those states. The thoughts, and we're living in a really tough time now. Most people have a lot of chatter going on, a lot of anxiety, a lot of unknown, and that is what's preventing them to go into those states, which is really important, because we all need to get into that calm, peaceful place.
Do you think that chatter is an inner hypnotist?
That's a good question. I don't know if it's an inner hypnotist.
Is it taking us into a trance state? We're going by that inner chatter? Are most of us walking around in a trance state because we're listening to our inner voice?
I don't think we're in a trance state. I think we're very distracted. I'm not sure that's the same as the trance state.
It's the other side of a trance, the flip side of a trance.
Yeah, it's almost...
You're entranced by distraction.
Right, exactly. That's how I would say that, because it's also a heaviness you're walking around with when you have so many thoughts. And it's also a little bit of a darkness, because when we let too much negativity in, that door opens up a little too wide, we're heavy, we're not positive, and we don't really enjoy life as much.
And the good news about what you're saying is kind of bad news, but the good news is behind that, there's light. The light's there. It's like the clouds are covering it, but it's not like the light's not there, right?
It's exactly, and we just have to move the clouds out of the way, which is clearing the mind, going to that relaxed place, and then creating the positivity, because it's so important what our mind is thinking, because that's what we're going to attract. So if I'm thinking more negative things, I'm going to bring that into my life, and then I'm going to go, see, this is how my life always is. But when you realize that you start putting the positive thoughts, and then you start attracting the better things, then that's a whole new world.
I don't know if you noticed this, but the last maybe year or 2 years, there's been all of these mattress commercials and mattress companies. Mm-hmm. It's like sleeping and relaxing. We seem to be obsessed as a culture with relaxation, but yet at the same time, we can't relax.
Well, and that's why we're obsessed with getting there, right? Because you're right, and that's what the biggest thing. No matter what someone comes into my office for, the main thing it is anxiety and stress. That's the biggest thing.
Amazing.
Yes, and it's all the thoughts. The thoughts are all part of anxiety and stress, and we can't get out of the head. And that's the problem. And that's what hypnosis becomes, a shortcut to get into the meditative state. And if everyone spent, and I'm not saying a lot of time, 3 to 5 minutes a day, the whole world would probably be a different place.
Well, I was going to ask you that. I'm glad you brought it up. What exactly is the difference between meditation and hypnosis, if any?
Self-hypnosis really gets you into that state of meditation. It's really a guided way of getting into that, but at the end of the day, that's what hypnosis is, getting into a meditative state, because your mind is clear, you're open to this quietness, this stillness, this peace. And that's even I do consultations. We do a 5-minute hypnosis induction. In that 5 minutes, their stress can go down 2 or 3 points. And that's just in a short time. So imagine if you get used to doing this, because we cannot change what's going on in the world, right? We can't change that the coronavirus is going to stop tomorrow. But what we can do is go back to that control of our reactions, right? Instead of getting caught up in
response.
Your response, right? And
responsibility. We have an ability to respond. We have responsibility.
Yeah, right, and that's a power that we have, and that people don't realize that we have. And I know it's hard to hear and say, well, I can't control certain things, and we're not saying you can control your environment or what's going on. We're just saying you can control you and how you react, and that's important. I don't think people realize they have the power to do that.
So are you saying that the hypnotic state is the meditative state, or is it like hypnosis is a way to get into the meditative state?
Well, hypnosis is a path, but at the end of the day, when you're in that state, eventually when you get into the deeper state of it, maybe in the surface, the beginning, you're not so much in a meditative, but once you get into that deeper place, I call it the superconscious mind, that's when you really get into that meditative state. That's where you're open to any of the positivity of what's around you.
What does mindfulness fit into this?
Well, it's all part of mindfulness, because what we're realizing is that our society is mindless, because we're so overwhelmed with life, where thoughts and chatter. You become mindful when you get into the state. So what happens is when you're out of that state, you're mindful of taking that extra cookie. You're mindful of when you want that cigarette. So you become mindful, which gives you, again, the control, because now it's in the forefront. And what mindfulness does is helps you be present in the moment. And when you're not present in the moment, again, all the chatter comes. You can't get to a peaceful place.
What are the implications of the fact that we go into alpha state when we're mindful? Does that mean that when we're mindful, we're actually going into a hypnotic state?
Well, I think you can be in not so much a deep hypnotic state, but you can live in that sort of like you go a little bit into it and kind of live in that space. I mean, I think we should all be trying to get into that when the thoughts aren't so controlling you.
All right, we have about a minute, and I would be completely remiss if I didn't ask you this. Give us a quick down and dirty way to fall asleep using hypnosis.
Okay, so just take a few deep breaths in, close your eyes, and just allow yourself to start feeling relaxation from the top of the body down to the toes, and just allow yourself to feel the power that you can push a thought to the very top of the mind and let it come out, and just keep repeating that. And that will help you let go of thoughts and go into a deeper sleep.
You say watch your thoughts and then push them out, like watch them come up.
And imagine that you've got the thoughts, because you can feel them. So just push them to the very top. Just imagine like your hand is pushing all your thoughts to the very top, and imagine it opening on the top, and just feel all the thoughts coming out of the very top of the mind, and let them disappear into the air. And just keep pushing them up, and it could be feelings or emotions, because those are part of our thoughts too. And just push them up slowly but surely to the very top, imagine the opening, and let them come out. Because that's what prevents people from sleeping. It's usually the thoughts. They're not relaxing enough.
It's usually the thoughts. I always had the idea that people think all the time, but they suppress their thoughts during the day by cooking and by running around and by doing this and doing that. And then when they lay down and go to sleep, the thoughts were always there, but because they're not running around doing stuff, they can't go to sleep.
Well, that's true because now they're more aware. But truthfully, the thoughts are going on throughout the day.
Yeah, but we just kind of – that's why people do so much all day. They're addicted to doing to avoid the busyness, right? So they don't get freaked out by their brain, by their minds.
Exactly.
Blaise Pascal, the philosopher, said, all a man's problems could be resolved if he could figure out how to sit in a room alone by himself.
I believe that.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, that's interesting.
I believe that.
All right, so how do people get a hold of you, Mary Beth, if they want to?
So they can go on to metrohypnosiscenter.com. I do online sessions as well. And my book, Transformation to Hypnosis, I have my audio book on my website, and they can also buy the book on Amazon.com.
And they can learn hypnosis through the book?
Yes, they can. It actually walks you through, and what's good about the audiobook is that every end of a chapter there's a self-hypnosis that I read to you. You can do it in the book too, but what's nice to have me guide you through it as well.
Thank you so much for coming on The Bright Side, Mary Beth. Best of luck.
Thank you for having me.
Have a great day. Mary Beth Battaglia, certified clinical hypnosis and sound practitioner. Her book is Transformation Through Hypnosis. Relax, clear your mind, and step into your power. You can get it off Amazon, and I will be doing that myself today. So thank you, Mary Beth. And that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for listening to The Bright Side. Have yourselves a wonderful, beautiful, awesome, spectacular day. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll talk to you all later. Bye for now.